The Bible is a treasure trove of divine wisdom, where even the smallest details hold profound meaning. In the pages of John's Gospel, a striking episode emerges. Jesus is presented with the challenge of judging a woman accused of adultery. His response is both simple and astonishing. "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." While this statement is rich with layers of meaning and profound insight, there's an even deeper significance in the act of Jesus writing on the ground before and after delivering it. What's the hidden meaning behind this gesture? How does it connect to the Old Testament? And how do these seemingly simple actions and words reveal his divine identity? Join us as we delve into this narrative. But before diving into the deep end, it's essential to establish the foundational truths and set the cultural and historical stage. First, who actually authored the law of Moses and the commandments that dictate punishments? The scriptures tell us that God inscribed the 10 Commandments with his own finger, etching his divine will into stone. This act wasn't just about creating a set of rules. It was about laying down a sacred, unalterable covenant. The law concerning adultery is precise and unyielding. The book of Leviticus states that both the man and the woman involved must be put to death. Justice under the law requires both parties to be brought forward. But even though the law was uncompromising in its demands, the Jews at that time were under the dominion of Rome, which stripped them of the authority to enact capital punishment independently. With this backdrop established, we can now delve into the story itself. At the break of dawn, Jesus appeared in the temple. As the people gathered around him, he took a seat and began to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. Now what do you say?" This was a meticulously crafted trap. The Pharisees aimed to ensnare Jesus in a dilemma that could be used against him. If he had decreed that the woman should be stoned, they would have reported him to the Roman authorities, accusing him of inciting rebellion by exploiting the Jews' inability to enforce capital punishment under Roman rule. On the other hand, if he opposed her execution, they would claim he was contradicting the law of Moses. Yet, in the face of this trap, Jesus does not leap to judgment. Instead, Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who heard began to go away one at a time, the older ones first, until only Jesus was left, with the woman still standing there. This dramatic moment operates on several profound levels. First, by writing with his finger, Jesus is signaling his divine authority. He is reminding us that he is the same God who inscribed the law on the tablets. The Pharisees, in their attempt to entrap Jesus, were unwittingly challenging the God of Moses, the author of their law. On another level, Jesus reveals a fundamental truth. Everyone is a sinner, and thus unqualified to pass judgment or take a life. With this single declaration, he not only upholds the law of Moses, but he redefines it, marking the dawn of the new covenant and inscribing the divine commands directly onto the hearts of humanity. Moreover, Jesus masterfully unmasked the Pharisees' deception and hypocrisy. Remember, the law calls for both the adulterer and the adulteress to be judged. But in their quest to trap Jesus, the Pharisees had broken the law by accusing only the woman and ignoring the man. By highlighting this discrepancy, Jesus not only exposed their plot, but also turned their trap into a mirror reflecting their own sins, leaving them looking utterly foolish. And as the Pharisees departed from the temple, their exit wasn't merely a retreat, but a stark admission of their guilt. Their failure to stone the woman wasn't due to fear, but rather an acknowledgement of their own culpability. Yet this encounter unfolds even deeper layers of significance. Notice that the text tells us Jesus wrote on the ground again, but this time, any mention of writing with his finger is notably absent. This omission is significant. When the Pharisees set a trap for Jesus, they ended up ensnared by their own scheme. Yet rather than facing the truth or seeking the forgiveness that Jesus so freely offered, they walked away. This wasn't just a moment of moral failure on their part, but a cosmic echo of ancient prophecy. Jesus' act of writing on the ground was a deliberate link to the ancient words of Jeremiah. "Lord, you are the hope of Israel. All who forsake you will be put to shame. Those who turn away from you will be written in the dust because they have forsaken the Lord, the spring of living water." Do you see how those who forsake God are put to shame? The actions of Jesus directly connect him to the God of Jeremiah, the fountain of living water, who inscribed the law for Moses with his own finger. Here, an ordinary act of writing on the ground becomes extraordinary, as Jesus, the God of Israel, emerges clearly before us, challenging our understanding and revealing the deeper truth of his divine nature.